There comes a moment in life when you look around and realize everything feels the same. The same routine, the same conversations, the same expectations. And deep down, a question starts to form. Is this it? For decades, you've followed a path: career, family, responsibilities. You've done what was expected. But now, something inside you is whispering that it's time for a change. And that whisper, it's not something to ignore. It's a call to reinvent yourself. Some people believe that reinvention is for the young, that once you hit a certain age, your story is already written. But that's a lie. Reinvention isn't about starting over from nothing. It's about taking everything you've lived, everything you've learned, and using it to create something new. A new direction, a new purpose, a new chapter that's completely your own. So if you've ever felt stuck, uninspired, or just ready for something more, this video is for you. Today, we're breaking down exactly how to reinvent yourself after 50. No fluff, no clichés. Just real, actionable steps to help you step into the next version of yourself with confidence. Because your best years, they're not behind you. They're waiting to be created. Let's begin. For years, maybe even decades, you've been defined by labels, titles, roles, expectations. You were someone's employee, someone's spouse, someone's parent. And those labels shaped your decisions, your priorities, even how you saw yourself. But here's the truth: those labels, they're not you. They're just chapters. And now, it's time to turn the page. One of the biggest reasons people feel stuck after 50 is because they're still holding on to an identity that no longer fits. Maybe you spent years climbing the corporate ladder, and now the idea of doing something new feels foreign. Maybe you defined yourself by your role in the family, and now you're wondering what comes next. But the real question isn't what have I been? It's who do I want to become? Reinvention starts with letting go of outdated expectations, not just from society, but from yourself. The belief that you're too old to try something new? Let it go. The idea that change is reckless or selfish? Get rid of it. The notion that your best years are behind you? That's a lie you've been sold. Think about it. Some of the most remarkable reinventions in history happened after 50. Vera Wang didn't design her first dress until she was 40. Colonel Sanders didn't franchise KFC until he was 62. And Stan Lee? He didn't create his first comic book superhero until he was 43. They weren't held back by labels, and neither should you. So, here's the challenge: you take a moment to ask yourself, what labels have I been carrying that no longer serve me? And more importantly, who would I be if I stopped holding on to them? Because reinvention doesn't start with action. It starts with permission. The moment you stop seeing yourself through the lens of your past is the moment your future actually begins. Now, once you break free from those old labels, the next step is figuring out where you actually want to go. And that starts with rediscovering your passions, things you've ignored, buried, or told yourself weren't important. Let's talk about it. Somewhere along the way, life got practical. Responsibilities piled up, priorities shifted, and the things that once lit you up, the hobbies, the dreams, the pure excitement of trying something new, got buried under the weight of real life. And now, after 50, when the routines have settled and the noise has quieted, a question starts to rise. What do I actually love? Here's the reality: reinventing yourself isn't about creating a brand new person from scratch. It's about uncovering the parts of you that got left behind, the things that once made you lose track of time, the skills you were naturally drawn to, the interests you abandoned because life told you they weren't practical. Think back: what excited you before the world told you to be realistic? Was it painting, music, writing, travel, teaching, creating? Maybe it was something as simple as cooking meals for people, building things with your hands, or storytelling. The problem isn't that you don't have passions. It's that you've been disconnected from them for too long. And here's the truth: it's never too late to reconnect. The idea that passion has an expiration date, that's just fear disguised as logic. You don't have to be 20 to start something new. You just have to be willing. Julia Child didn't learn to cook until she was almost 40. Laura Ingalls Wilder didn't publish her first book until she was 65. And if you think starting something new at your age is too late, ask yourself, if not now, when? But rediscovering passion isn't just about reminiscing. It's about action. So here's the challenge: for something, anything. Sign up for a class, pick up a book on something you've always wanted to learn, spend 30 minutes a day doing something just for you. Not because it's practical, not because it makes money, not because it fits into your life, but because it excites you. Because the truth is, your passion isn't gone. It's just waiting for you to pay attention again. And once you reignite that spark, the next step is making sure you have the energy, the mindset, and the health to sustain it. Because reinvention, it doesn't just happen in your mind. It happens in your body too. Let's talk about it. Reinvention isn't just about what you do, it's about how you think and how you feel. You can have all the ideas, all the ambitions, and all the plans in the world, but if your mindset is stuck in the past and your body is running on empty, none of it will matter. Because here's the truth. You don't just wake up one day and feel ready to reinvent yourself. You have to build the energy, the confidence, and the clarity to make it happen. And that starts with two things: your mind and your health. Let's talk about mindset first. The number one thing that holds people back after 50 isn't time, money, or opportunity. It's belief. The belief that it's too late, that change is too hard, that they're too old to start over. But here's the reality. The people who reinvent themselves don't do it because it's easy. They do it because they refuse to accept the idea that their best days are behind them. Take a moment and ask yourself, what's the story I've been telling myself about aging? Is it a story of decline or a story of evolution? Because how you see yourself determines what's possible for you. If you believe you're stuck, you will be. If you believe you're capable of change, you will be. And then there's your health. Let's be real, if you don't have the energy, the stamina, and the clarity to pursue something new, it doesn't matter how motivated you are. Reinvention requires a foundation. And that foundation is your body. It's not about looking younger. It's about feeling better. More movement, better nutrition, higher quality sleep. These aren't just wellness trends. They're the fuel for reinvention. Because if you're exhausted, if you're weighed down by stress, if your body isn't keeping up with your ambitions, you'll quit before you even start. So here's the challenge. Start treating your health like the asset it is. Move every day, even if it's just walking. Eat like your future depends on it, because it does. And sleep like it's your job, because without it, you can't perform in any other area of life. Because reinvention isn't just about making new choices. It's about becoming the version of yourself that actually has the energy and the belief to follow through. And once you start upgrading your mindset and your health, the next step is making sure the people around you aren't holding you back. Because nothing will stall your reinvention faster than the wrong crowd. Let's talk about it. Here's something nobody talks about. Reinvention isn't just about you. It's about the people around you. Because the truth is, no matter how much you grow, no matter how many changes you make, if you're surrounded by the same energy-draining, uninspiring, small-minded crowd, your reinvention is already at risk. Think about it. How many people in your life actually support your growth? How many of them encourage you to try new things, push yourself, or embrace change? And now flip though, many of them dismiss your ideas, tell you it's too late, or make you feel like you should just stay in your lane. The reality is, after 50, relationships shift. Some friendships fade, careers evolve, and priorities change. But here's the mistake most people make. They try to hold on to every relationship just because it's familiar. They stay connected to people who no longer align with their future, simply because they've been in their past. But reinvention requires intentional relationships. That means surrounding yourself with people who are also evolving. People who challenge you, who inspire you, who make you excited about what's next instead of nostalgic for what's gone. So ask yourself, who do I need more of in my life? Maybe it's people who are on the same journey of reinvention. Maybe it's mentors, creative thinkers, or even just friends who genuinely support your happiness. And let's talk about career. Because for many people after 50, the idea of work shifts. Maybe you're tired of the same industry. Maybe retirement isn't fulfilling. Maybe you're finally ready to turn a side passion into something real. Whatever it is, reinvention in your professional life means networking with intention. If you want to break into a new field, Connect with the people already doing it. If you're interested in starting a business, find people who have been where you want to go. In today's world, it has never been easier to build new connections. LinkedIn, professional groups, meetups, online courses, and masterminds exist for a reason. Use them. Because here's the reality: your environment shapes your future. And if the people around you are keeping you small, doubting your choices, or making you question your path, it's time to rebuild your circle. And once you do that, the final step in reinvention is the most important one of all: taking action. Because ideas are great, but nothing changes until you actually move. Let's talk about it. You can read all the books, take all the courses, and plan out every detail of your reinvention, but at some point, you have to move. Because reinvention isn't about thinking, it's about doing. And this is where most people get stuck. They wait, they hesitate. They tell themselves they need more time, more preparation, more certainty. But here's the truth: there will never be a perfect time. There will never be a moment where everything aligns perfectly. And if you keep waiting for it, you'll wake up one day and realize you've waited your life away. So what does taking bold action actually look like? It doesn't mean throwing your life into chaos. It means starting. One step, one decision, one risk that pushes you forward instead of keeping you in place. Maybe it's finally launching that business idea that's been sitting in your head for years. Maybe it's moving to a new city or traveling to that place you've always dreamed of. Maybe it's leaving a career that no longer fulfills you, or saying yes to something that excites you even if it scares you. Whatever it is, here's the key: stop overthinking it. Action creates clarity. The more you do, the more you'll figure out what works and what doesn't. But if you stay in the planning phase forever, you'll never get anywhere. And let's be clear: taking bold action doesn't mean you won't feel fear. Fear is part of the process. The difference is, successful reinvention isn't about eliminating fear. It's about moving forward anyway. So here's the challenge. What's one bold step you can take this week toward the life you actually want? Not next year, not when you feel ready. This week. Because at the end of the day, reinvention isn't about dreaming. It's about deciding. And your next chapter? It's waiting. The only question is, are you willing to turn the page? Reinvention isn't something that happens to you. It's something you choose. And the biggest mistake you can make is believing that it's too late, that your best years are behind you. That change is for someone younger, braver, or more prepared. But here's the truth: your next chapter is unwritten. And whether it's filled with growth, purpose, adventure, or something entirely new, that's up to you. So, let's make this real. You've just heard 5 steps to reinvent yourself after 50. Now, I want you to take one of them, just one, and do something about it this week. Maybe it's setting a boundary. Maybe it's reconnecting with an old passion. Maybe it's making a bold decision you've been putting off for years. Whatever it is, take that first step. Because the only difference between the people who reinvent themselves and the people who stay stuck is action. And if you're serious about making this next chapter your best one yet, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss future content like this. Drop a comment below and tell me what's one thing you're ready to change in your life right now. Let's start the conversation. Because your story isn't over. Not even close. I'll see you in the next one.